Good afternoon or good evening. Um, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. AI will not save us. In fact, I think it's going to hurt us. If you look around you, all of the stuff that a common man, you know, the masses like myself and you need, um, comes from the earth. I'm going to just look around my house. Behind me, there's a metal bookcase that came from a mine. Started out somebody digging a hole. The books, I suspect most of that comes from trees. The tree came from the earth. That cow head over there indirectly came from the ground, eating grass, and it came from its mom, which ate grass and that kind of stuff. Um, there's that picture of my daughter up there on the top. She's a grown woman now, therapist. But the glass in front of her picture, that came from a ground, may have come from the beaches, silica that was made into glass. But it probably came from a mine that relatively pure um, glass to make nice clear and white, silica to make you know clear clear glass. And there's the glass in my window up there, and another metal frame around the window that came from the ground. All that's coming from the ground. That little bar up there, brass, came from the ground, came from the mine. Um, then just look around the computer that we're talking over. That's kind of a mixture of silicone chips that came from silica, a mine of very pure silica that was refined. Um, there's a light sitting in front of me. Uh, Copper wire coming to it came from the ground. The metal frame from the light came from uh, the ground. The bulb, again, silica, and I don't know what metal's in there, but there's a metal for the filament, probably tungsten. Look around your life. The car that you drive, a lot of metal in there, a lot of copper, steel, aluminum, maybe some magnesium, aluminum, depending on how fancy a car you have. Rubber tires came from the ground, rubber tree. Um, Look at your house. The wood from the forest came from the ground. Copper wire, your ceramic tabletops came from a mine. Your plastic tubing came from oil. Um, Copper tubing came from the ground. Anyway, just look around you and you'll find almost everything comes from the ground. In fact, I think everything does. Exception might be that you might pull gas from the air, uh, like oxygen, or you might pull something from the ocean like sodium chloride salt, or you might even pull water from the ocean and remove the salt. But everything comes from the physical world around you. And another way to describe where everything comes from is supply chains. And the U.S. has woefully few supply chains. We get stuff from other countries, and they get the stuff from supply chains that go back to the ground. But we don't start on the basic level. We don't start and take the stuff out of the ground ourselves, at least not nearly enough to run our economy. The rare earths that China cut us off from are an example of something that we don't mine, or very little of it. Certainly not enough to feed our military and our ferocious appetite for cell phones and all that stuff. So everything comes from the ground, but we as Americans are too good for that. Not in my backyard. We don't let that kind of nasty stuff happen in our country. We let it go overseas where they can screw up the environment and we don't have to look at it. Well, now back to AI. What is AI good for? It's for optimizing stuff. What do we have to optimize in the US? We don't start off with any of the stuff that us ordinary folks use. All that starts from the ground, and we're too good for that kind of stuff. Even stuff in, chemical plants, you got to start with raw materials. Metallurgical plants, raw materials, all from the ground. We don't do that stuff. Not very much of it, anyway. So when you look around at the stuff that you use, it comes from the ground. It comes from supply chains that the US does not control. Now we do some of the tail end stuff, like when we make a car, we get the parts from someone else, but the actual raw materials that made the engine block, that came from someone else most of the time. We'll make a little bit. Most of the stuff we use comes from other people. What does the US do? We print dollars. We borrow money. We borrow money a lot. We do financial transactions and your banks pay you a fee. We do computer programs and social media and that kind of stuff. AI going to optimize your Facebook account, make you some money, or make anybody some money? I don't think so. Is they going to screw much with your bank? Probably not. Maybe they eliminate some people inside of the bank because they have AI systems. That's not going to help you unless you work in the bank, and then it's not likely to help you. It's going to hurt you. So, just exactly where is AI going to be applied in our country? Oh, medical, maybe. Might make some diagnostics better. So, if you're sick, dying, or something, it might help you. Of course, if you're working in the hospital and you get laid off because of AI, not going to help so much. May help you do some of your jobs, but mostly your jobs, if you work in the US, is something abstract. You might do some consulting, and there might be a few chemical plants and manufacturing left in here, but we don't do the most of it. That's done overseas. We do all this abstract stuff like make AI and make computer programs and software and the up end into the scale stuff, assemble the car. Most of the stuff comes from the ground and it's processed a lot before it gets to us. That's where AI can perhaps help with some of the chemistry and the reactions and that stuff. And I do consulting in that area, and I've worked in that area my whole life. And I use AI um, kind of like a library. I can look stuff up really fast that I need to know, and I ask very specific questions. And I usually ask a couple AIs and double check it. Plus, a lot of times I already know more than the AI does in my particular area. Maybe someday it'll pass me, but it's not passing me yet. And so where I can see that enhances what I do a little bit. I'm an exception in the US that I work, um, you know, on stuff that comes out of the mind and you have to concentrate it from an ore and make it into a metal concentrate or refined to metal, that kind of stuff. Of course, I don't do the last few decades. Most of the work I do and where AI could have helped me was not in the United States. I worked all over the world because the real work, the real work that goes into making the stuff that you need in your life to put food on your table, to drive your car, to have a house, is done outside the US. And AI going to optimize that? Okay. I think it can help in that area. Is it going to help at the high end where the US does stuff? By the time you get up to uh, making a car part or something and someone else has made the part and you're putting it together, maybe use a computer program to, you know, help you drive a robot to put a car together. But um, that kind of programming's already going on. Can it make it AI make it better? Maybe a little bit, but there's no big bang for your buck there. Uh, and AI doesn't actually help you. Like if you're getting an ore, digging an open pit a mile deep, the energy to get from the bottom to the top of that pit, AI can't help you lift that stuff. You still got to put the energy in to lift it. Might make the engine a little more efficient or something in the uh, the truck you're going up the hill, but the Carnot cycle uh, determines how efficient that truck is. A lot of physics and thermodynamics that you can't change with AI, where the real action happens. And then, I'm saying AI won't save us. We need to be developing our supply chains or making friends with people that have supply chains because we don't have them. And we're not making friends with anybody that I can see. We're making a lot of enemies lately. So, what we're doing in this country is making AI that A doesn't work at all. And so we've invested a truckload of money into something that doesn't work. In which case, we've taken away a lot of money from what we should be doing, which is developing our supply chains or making friends with people and buying stuff from their supply chains instead of building an AI center to optimize stuff um, that probably is not as important to us as developing our supply chains. You want real stuff? Real stuff comes from the ground. Now, the other is, A, it works and you've put all the investment there to optimize stuff we don't have. Or B, it doesn't work and then we've just wasted the money and didn't get any improvement here or somewhere else. or another option that did work and we all got laid off and we didn't get anything because we don't have any money to buy the stuff. So I just don't see the combination of events where AI is going to help me. Let's go over that again. AI is successful and it optimizes stuff that's in someone else's country. B is successful here and puts me out of a job. And C, it sucks money away from what we should be spending on, which is trying to get some supply chains uh, and make stuff, starting from the ground up, make our own stuff. So I don't see how any of those options help me. Making an AI to optimize stuff that's not here, B, optimize stuff that is here and puts me out of work, or C, sucks money away from where we should be spending our money. Am I missing something? Is that not obvious? And those are the rules. I'm not saying there's not any exceptions, like having a better diagnosis on X-ray or something might be cool. Might help. Of course, if I'm dirt poor, I'm probably not going to be able to pay my medical bill in this country. And I'm going to be poor because A, we don't do our own mines and get stuff out of the ground, with exception maybe of farming oil. But any of the metals, minerals, chemicals, we come up really short. It mostly comes from other people. So I can see a little bit of improvement on the edge, and mostly just in pharmaceuticals and general medicine service. Going to see the doctor. Um, but I don't see how we afford anything if we're not making anything. Even if AI is good and it's being used by a lot of people, the money that they pay for the AI, it's not coming to me. It's going to go to the rich guys at the top that run the computer companies in this country: Microsoft, Google, Grok, etc. So, unless AI helps us open up minds in the US and works on wealth inequality, I don't quite see how it's going to help the average American. Anyway, I'm just trying to sort this out. I thought somebody might make a few comments and explain to me the areas where AI is going to help the average American. I don't care about helping the rich people. They're doing okay without my help. Anyway, hope you have a good weekend. This is the Ancient Texan making a claim that AI is not going to help us. Us meaning average American. Namaste. Namaste, my friend.